What's the best way to track my cycle? So basically, if you're not wanting to conceive, then have an app, okay? I have my period, there's Flow, there's Clue, there's so many great apps out there. So first day of your bleed, and that means the first day of full flow is the first day that you track your cycle to the start of the next bleed. And so if you're having spotting leading up to your period, that's not actually considered your first day. It's the first day of your full bleed. And if you start to bleed in the evening, then you take the next day as your first day. One of the traps that you can fall into is if you are tracking your cycle for conception, is that the ovulation is not always correct. Is that basically it builds an algorithm, and the algorithm is never right, and that can, if you're not wanting to fall pregnant, that can lead to pregnancy. So the best way is to chart and BBT, which is a basal body temp, and that's something that we offer in clinic. I've been tracking my cycle for 25 years now. And so, yeah, once you really know it, you can start to see the subtle things like your cervical mucus. So you can start to really pinpoint your fertile window. And if you've got a regular period, menstrual cycle, like a 28-day cycle, you'll start to really understand when it is that you're ovulating through all the subtle signs and symptoms, which I've written a book about, Body Baby Ready. Okay, tips on losing weight with endo. So this is another one. Is it chronic inflammation within the body? I am an adeno and endo warrior and stayed with stage 4 endo. So I've spent a lot of time working on nutrition and really cutting out those inflammatory factors and working on supporting my liver health. So, and then maintaining exercise, a really healthy exercise regime. I came away from doing half Ironman into yoga and Pilates, and I find that's what actually serves me hormonally best, because when I used to be training, well, before I had kids, is that, you know, I'd be riding 600 Ks a week, which was great, but I was physically fit, but not nutritionally fit, and not also fertility fit either. It's just a completely different way of like looking now, of like, if I was to go back and train back then and eat how I do now, wow, I think I would have actually been a better athlete. Yeah, maybe one day I'll get back on that bike again. Okay, foods and supplements to ease with menstrual pain. So our uterus is a smooth muscle, and our smooth muscle likes to have smooth muscle contractions. And so the endometrial lining is lined with prostaglandins, and prostaglandins, the endometrial lining forms in spirals like a DNA helix. The prostaglandins cause a gentle, like uterine vasoconstriction of the endometrial cells. And so as the prostaglandins create this vasoconstriction, it starts to allow the endometrial lining to shed. And so magnesium is amazing, because magnesium helps with smooth muscle. It allows that, it nourishes the muscle and nourishes the tissue. So having a bath with Epsom salts is also really good for that. Evening primrose or linoleic acid is an anti-inflammatory. It also increases blood flow, so helping to ease pain. And also to foods that help to support menstrual pain. So anything that's really an anti-inflammatory, so bone broth during your bleed is really good because it's warming. The uterus is in its luteal phase, which means it's warmer because the body basal temperature rises. It's in progest, which is gestation. So the uterus becomes like an incubator and the cervix closes over. And it becomes warming. So that's why we always encourage warming foods in Chinese medicine. It's in that yang phase. And so also to other supplements is your curcumin. You've got your turmeric because they're anti-inflammatory, antiviral. There's also been some great research out for those in terms of helping to support endometriosis pain. And then also what I like to use is I like to use all my broccolis to help metabolize my estrogen, to make sure it's actually coming out the right pathways. And that's where the Dutch test is really great for that one. Moxa. I use Moxa in Chinese medicine. Medicinal mugwort helps to create a healthy blood flow, stops pain, warms the uterus. And then also too, you've got your Ayurvedic practice, which is your Oh my goodness, I've gone blank. The compress, it's a hot press that you basically, I've gone completely blank. Look that one up for me and let me know. Okay. And then any foods that are high in B vitamins as well, it's going to help with pain. So things like your nuts, and also to your foods that are going to, like, it's a lubrication. So thinking you want to have your oils as well. So olive oil, hemp seed oil, avocado. Does a low AMH lead to miscarriage? No, it doesn't. And so basically AMH is really talking about, we've got like a uterus. I talk about the egg bed. So there's so many factors that can contribute to a miscarriage. It's looking at the FSH, so the follicle stimulating hormone. Is that elevated? How's your progesterone levels in your luteal phase? AMH is really talking about your egg pool, of how many eggs that you have left, but it's not definitive of our overall fertility. It's more about the fact if we're going into do an IVF cycle, if you're ovulating every month and you're having a period, your body is reaching its basic level of health. So it's really about investigating what are those other factors. What is your partner or husband's semen analysis. So I've done some podcasts on that one, and also Dr. Joseph Scroy. You can check out his Instagram there. He talks a lot about the sort of like the medical process in terms of the testing, the specific testing, and also if you download my book, Body Baby Ready, is that it talks you through all of that. That's a very great question, but it would take me a good 15 minutes to go into that in depth more. So there's also a great book, It Starts with the Egg, and that can help to improve our overall egg quality. And we have the most mitochondria in our eggs. And so looking at mitochondrial health, and it's also it's really age factor as well. We know as we get older, age impacts the quality of our eggs. So it's really like looking at a pillar approach, a holistic pillar approach to improving your overall egg quality. How long does it take to regulate your hormones post breastfeeding? Okay, so when we're breastfeeding, our body produces a hormone, prolactin. Prolactin is what basically helps us to produce our milk. It's a lactation hormone. And so when we're breastfeeding, it just depends. Every woman is so different. As soon as you sometimes start to reduce your feeds, is that you'll find that your periods come back. So my periods came back 3 months after giving birth. I thought I was going to get a year, but no, it came back. So it just, once you start having your cycle again, but it's so much, your hormones are really impacted by how was your labor? Was there a trauma? How long were you in labor for? What was your pregnancy like? What was your fertility journey like? Because it's essentially, it has a bit of a domino effect of how we were during our fertility journey into our pregnancy. Were we really sick? Do we have hyperemesis, where we're sick all the time? Then also too, how's your bubs? Is bub sleeping? Lack of sleep impacts our hormones. How many times are we getting up to feed? Are you giving yourself enough nutrition? So it can take a while, and if you start to notice that you're feeling really exhausted, sometimes it can be your iron levels, but it's also it's a really good indication to go, okay, I need to go and look at this. What are my hormones doing? Go and get your hormones tested. And then also do the postpartum support. Get your community, get your family to cook food for you, so you've got that little bit of extra nourishment, because that starts to heal, because how we are in our postpartum affects us for menopause, and it's also with every pregnancy there's a depletion, so we can just become more and more depleted, which is not good as for women, because I had my postnatal depletion 5 years later after we nearly lost our daughter, and then I was pregnant with our son, so it's been big.